Good evening and welcome to another author series event presented by the Friends of the Ferguson Library. These evenings are so special and I'm delighted that we can still continue them even in these pandemic times when we can't get together. The Ferguson Library is a very special place, but in my mind it's special because of the Friends of the Ferguson Library. They're the secret sauce that allow us to do so much of what we are able to do. They raise money through events like this, a Views Bookshop, and famous things like the mini golf and the literary pub crawl in order for us to bring you special programs. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Denise Marcel and we'll get on with this very special evening.
Thanks, Alice. Well, welcome to our Friends of the Ferguson Library virtual art author series. I'm a member of the board of the Friends of the Ferguson, which usually brings you these best-selling authors and as well as debut authors in person to our library. But in this new era of caution, and thanks to Zoom technology, bringing you this live event, a cooking demonstration by Chef Teddy Wolford, who created 150 recipes for the Sweet Magnolias cookbook. The cookbook is based on the Sweet Magnolias book series by #1, New York Times bestselling author Cheryl Woods. And as many of you know, the book series was the basis of the very popular and #1 Netflix TV series, The Sweet Magnolias, that launched just 2 months ago. I hope many of you know the books of Sherry Woods and are fans of her. I am her very proud literary agent who's worked with her almost from the very beginning of her career. So tonight I'm quite excited to have Chef Teddy join us to demonstrate some of the recipes that she created to bring the kitchens of Serenity, South Carolina to life right here and right to you. So now readers, as well as you, can share her delicious meals that the characters in the book and the series have enjoyed. This is such a fun cookbook because it's written in the voice of one of the characters, Dana Sue, who is the chef and owner of Sullivan's Restaurant. It's chock full of like fun, charming, and small town stories of the whole world of Sweet Magnolias. One way the book came together is the Cheryl getting recipes. They kept getting questions from her viewers and her readers about the recipes of the various dishes and the margaritas that the characters eat and drink in the book. So that's how the book came to be, and along with, so all those recipes are in the book, along with plenty of others created by Teddy Wolford, who, like Dana Sue, put a new spin on traditional Southern dishes. I'll tell you a little bit about Teddy. Chef Teddy is a chef and owner of Culinary Creations in Macon, Georgia. Her catering company offers a unique assortment of Southern cuisine, specializes in fare that she calls Uptown, Down South, updated upscale versions of timeless Southern cuisine. Teddy is the fine food writer for The Telegraph in Macon, Georgia, and she often appears as a guest chef on television station 13 WMAZ. She has family in South Carolina and in-laws in the Low Country, so she spends as much time as possible in her heart's home of South Carolina. She also travels throughout the South teaching gourmet cooking classes, which maybe we'll hear a little bit about later. Tonight, you'll also hear her exciting story of how she came to collaborate with Cheryl Woods on the book. Then after Teddy tempts us with two mouth-watering dishes, she'll take questions from you, and you can, while she's cooking or after she speaks, you can just type your questions into the chat box. And please stay around because we're going to have Q&A. And then after Q&A, stay around because Cheryl's publisher, Mira, has donated 3 sets of the first 3 books of the Sweet Magnolia series for us to give away in a raffle for 3 lucky people. And then finally, the purpose of the Friends, as Alice mentioned, is to raise money for the library so that we can bring programs like this to you, buy books, buy audiobooks, and ebooks. And these are all fundraisers. Now, of course, this event is free. Usually our in-library events are modest fundraisers, but important to us. So tonight, we are offering 3 special gifts for anyone, for the first 3 people who donate $100 or more to the Friends of the Ferguson. You'll receive either a copy, we have 2 copies of the cookbook, which is available by ebook, but it is no longer in print. So those are unique. And Cheryl Wood's audio publisher, Dreamscape, has donated the CDs, audiobooks of the first 3 books in the Sweet Magnolia series, and those are valued at $180. So you'll see the information in the chat box on how to make a donation to the library. And now, welcome Chef Teddy from Macon, Georgia.
Thank you. So good to be here with you tonight. I guess most of you are from Connecticut, or some of you are from Georgia, some of you are from South Carolina, so welcome everyone. You know, what we're going to be doing tonight, I'm going to be making a main dish here that's shrimp and grits. Everywhere across the South has their version of shrimp and grits. And this is my version. It's kind of combining my love of the Low Country and my love of New Orleans. And my husband's family was from New Orleans, or as they called it, New Orleans. And my family is from the upstate of South Carolina. And the upstate is 2 totally separate areas. You've got almost like a division between the Piedmont and the Low Country. So welcome tonight. Now, what I've got going on to begin with, I've already made up the shrimp and I've already made up the grits because those take a long time to cook. And the grittier the grit is, the longer you have to cook it. And so what we go for here is stone ground grits. And you can either get white grits or yellow grits. And people have definite taste about what their favorite grit is. Now mine are yellow grits. So guess what we're using tonight, folks? Yellow grits. And these are stone ground, which means they are a lot coarser than some grits. You know, like, I don't know if you're familiar with grits much, but take for instance, like instant grits, which girls, we know that's not grits. My girls are here tonight, and they would tell you too, that's not grits. Anything that can be made in like 2 minutes or under, forget it. Okay, because grits should take at least 30 minutes to cook. And so we've cooked these, cook them and cook them and cook them some more. And this is what our grits look like. Can you get the, and you can see all that wonderful butter floating on the top. Okay, now what we're going to get going first, somebody pick that up. We're going to do a hot fudge sauce that we're going to serve on top of a brownie, and that's going to be coated in ice cream. So, now to do the hot fudge sauce, it could not be simpler. In fact, the ratio for this, you know, people ask me all the time, what's your recipe for so-and-so? What's your recipe for such and such? And a lot of what I do is a math, is formula. And my daddy would freak out to think that I'm using math. But this is 1 part heavy whipping cream, 1 part corn syrup, and 1 part chocolate, a dark chocolate. Now that's just simple math, right? And so if I want to increase this by 100 times fold, then I just do the math. Okay, so like this has 3/4 of a cup of heavy whipping cream, 3/4 of a cup of corn syrup. Now we're gonna add to that, and I've already cooked this in the microwave and brought it just to a boil. Now I'm gonna add some chocolate chips. Okay, and that's all I'll do. Now, just set this aside, and it's going to melt by the heat of the microwave. And I'm just going to come back to that in a little bit. We'll stir it together. And that's going to be our hot fudge for the brownie. Okay, now here the brownie is, and look at this. This is one heck of a brownie. And I'm using a really good quality cocoa, using good quality chocolate chips. Everything I'm using in here is of high quality, because let me tell you, whatever you cook or whatever you bake is only going to be as good as the worst ingredient that goes in it, right? Okay, so the cocoa powder. And I baked it in a pan that I have first coated in a piece of parchment, because by baking on parchment, that allows me to do this. I'm going to just lift the brownie out. I'm going to pull down the edges. And I'm able to cut it right on the parchment. Okay, so I'm just going to take my knife, my really sharp knife. I normally just get 9 big brownies out of this. And if you wanted to get smaller ones, you can do 24 like medium-sized brownies, or I get 48 petite brownies for like a party or something, when we're going to stay nice and petite. Okay, now, and I've just got to just cut the brownie, and to store it, I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it back in the pan. Set that aside over here. And now we're going to start on our shrimp sauce. So we're using sausage here. Now the type of sausage that I'm using is andouille sausage. A-N-D-O-U-I-L-L-E. Andouille. And that's Cajun sausage. And I've already browned that up and I've drained it. And so that's going to be going into my cream sauce. Now to make my cream sauce, and this is basically making a roux. And to do this, to make a roux, it's equal part fat and flour. Yep, see you make a mess or two. And what I'm cooking on is an induction cooktop. I love my induction range. Now, how induction differs from any other type of cooking, only the cookware gets hot, not the inside of the cookware. See, there's no heat coming off of this, none whatsoever. It's only the cookware itself gets hot. So here I've got my butter melting, and I'm going to go ahead and stir in my flour. I'm just going to cook this until kind of like it's going to be a little bit beiger than beige. It's going to be a little bit browner, but it's not going to go further than the tan color. I could cook it, and we could raise the heat up, and we could cook it longer, and it would become darker the longer we cook it. But the longer it cooks, the less potential it has to thicken. So like if I'm doing a gumbo, that's my favorite dish to make. And if I'm doing a gumbo, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cook that roux, cook this mixture here until it's like chocolate brown or the color of coffee. And you can just do it. You can just take the spoons and set them out until you get the right color. But the darker that roux is, the more flavor it has. But the less thickening potential it has too. I'm just gonna let that cook just a little bit. Turn all this, please. So this is just beginning to cook, and you can just begin to smell it. It just smells very, very light. And man, when you get a roux to like chocolate brown or coffee colored, the smell in your kitchen is fantastic. What's that about? Okay. No. Okay, now I'm going to start cooking my shrimp. Oh, just 1 second, please.
Here you go. I got it.
Okay, so I'm letting this continue to cook and I'm stirring it. And I only got this like very, very low. And I'm wanting to cook these, but I don't want to crowd my pan because I don't want them to steam. I'm wanting them to cook. I'm wanting them to crisp up a little bit. Now, shrimp is done when they blush and curl their toes, okay? But not when they totally turn inside out on themselves. That's a little too done. Oh man, it's beginning to smell. Look at this roux. Okay, can you tell the difference in the color? Can you tell the difference in the smell?
Absolutely.
The fragrance, yes. Okay, so now I've got some half and half. See it beginning to thicken? And I don't add all my half and half at once, just kind of gradually add it.
Are the shrimp shelled, Teddy? Are the shrimp, are they shelled?
Yes, they've been peeled and deveined.
Thank you.
What? These are beautiful Georgia shrimp. And my low country in-laws, when you ask them if it's the shrimp local, they'll say, I'm so sorry, it's not. It's from 10 miles away. And that's just let me know that it wasn't from the local creek or Kelly Deer there and say that. And look at this. This is gorgeous. We're turning the shrimp over, please. Okay, so Karen's going to take over the flipping the shrimp job. Coming back to the sauce. shrimp are like 21 to 25 per pound.
Can you see that?
Okay, is the recipe in the book?
The recipe is in the book. Yeah, the recipe is called, what's the exact name of this recipe? I've got the page flipped to it.
I see them.
I just call it shrimp and grits, but that's not the real name. Now, all the recipes in the cookbook are my recipes. They are absolute originals.
Spicy shrimp and sausage with country ham, cream
Style
style
gravy.
gravy over creamy yellow
Yeah,
grits.
that's too long. It's shrimp and grits, folks.
You want to turn this down so the voice is-
Page 92.
And if you have the cookbook, I hope you've tried several recipes. Okay, look at the sauce. That's the cream style gravy. And I have the sausage back. Add the rest of the shrimp. We can always add the shrimp later, like I just did. But you don't want to crowd it, because if you're crowding the shrimp steam. And we don't want that. We want it to get them this beautiful, beautiful color. Here, Karen. Get those shrimp out. I'm sorry. In the pan. Now the shrimp are coated in the seasoning, so the Tony Chachere's Cajun Creole seasoning. And then we've got ham base. Now what base is, it's just bouillon in paste form. And we've got some country ham. Now, I don't know if y'all have access to country ham, but country ham is a small cured ham.
Teddy, could you repeat what the ham base is?
Okay, let me show you what the ham base is. This is the ham base. The product is called Better Than Bouillon.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It comes in like an 8-ounce jar, and they're all like, what would you say, about 30 servings or so in the jar? Because the serving size is only a teaspoon. It's just like bouillon.
It's specifically ham.
That is ham flavored. And chicken and beef, it comes in all different flavors. Give that a good stir.
Smells good.
Let's come back to the chocolate sauce. Okay, remember this was the whipping cream and the corn syrup. That's the glaze for the brownies. Now what we put in here too is the chocolate. That's sent to the bottom. And what we're gonna do is just take a whisk So we're gonna whisk this together. Watch how this sauce comes together. Wow, this is lovely. No, ganache is twice as much chocolate to cream, and then mousse is always twice as much cream to chocolate. And this is a sauce, and it's equal parts. Gotcha. Set this right here. You can get that nail by the handle. Thank you. And I'm just going to trim this down a little bit. That was just water. And the only thing we have left to do is to add our parsley. And I've got fresh Italian parsley that's just been minced. So we're just going to add that. And then we're about ready to serve it up on top of the grits. And the easiest way to peel shrimp is to use a little pair of scissors, and you just snip up the back to the tail, but don't go through the tail, because you're just going to pinch the tail off and then remove the outer shell of the shrimp. It's so easy. Can I have a fork, please? That's good. And I got a little bit of parsley. I'm going to save some of it to garnish, but I do want to stir some of this into the sauce. And I could, to flavor this up, I could, if it needed it, I could add some hot sauce or some Cajun and Creole seasoning, but it needs neither. And I am going to put a little bit more parsley. All right. Can I have some ice cream over that chocolate, over that brownie? Get one brownie out of the pan and put it in the bowl, and then go top it with the ice cream, please. Okay, let's get our grits back over here. Look at these grits. Wow.
How many scoops do you want?
Question?
How many scoops?
Just make it look pretty. Okay, look at this. We've got vanilla bean ice cream and over the brownie, and now I'm gonna get some of the hot fudge sauce. Okay. Oh my gosh. And that's our brownie with our chocolate fudge sauce. Now, if you wanted to season up the hot fudge sauce, that doesn't have anything in there. But you could add a little bit of Cointreau, or you could add a little bit of rum, or a little bit of bourbon. And when I say a little bit, that's what I mean. I mean, like for this whole recipe, like 2 tablespoons. That would be it. And what else would be good? Some cognac.
Oh, that would be good, or Kahlua.
A scoop. Just one second. No. Yes, that'll be fine. I had a scoop out. Ice cream back in the freezer, please. And there you have it. That's the shrimp and grits. It could not be simpler, but it could not be more elegant either. We set that down. Does anybody have any questions? Anyone have any questions?
Chef Teddy, somebody is asking if you cook your grits in water or milk.
I use a combination of milk and cream, or half and half.
Okay.
But if you want to use milk, you can use milk, but you're always going to finish it up with heavy whipping cream. So like for 1 cup of grits, you can use 4 cups of water, or vegetable stock, or shrimp stock. And at the end, you're going to stir in 1 cup of heavy whipping cream.
And another attendee is asking what the difference is between grits and polenta.
A big difference. Very same product, prepared very differently. One is just a lot more coarsely ground, like the grits. The polenta is almost like cornmeal. It's so fine.
Someone else is asking, do you fully cook the shrimp before adding them to the sauce, or do you partially cook them and allow them to finish in the sauce to avoid them from getting over?
You could do it either way. Here I fully cook the shrimp, and then we just stir it into the sauce at the end. Because as you can tell, the shrimp is just cooked perfectly, just until it's done. And then when I added it to the just cooked sausage, and that was cooked until it's perfectly done. And then we just topped the shrimp with it, topped the grits with it.
Do you then serve the sausage on the plate with the shrimp and the grits?
And it is. The sausage is with the shrimp and the grits.
Oh, it's in. Oh, okay. It's mixed together. Yes, I see.
The shrimp and the sausage are mixed
Uh-huh.
together with cream sauce.
All right. Thank you.
On top of the grits.
Well, in talking about the sausage, Teddy, someone asked earlier, is the addition of the sausage traditional to this dish in this part of the country, or something that you like to include?
It normally has an addition of something. So if you don't have access to the country hand, you could easily cook up bacon ahead of time, but you would make sure you're gonna just cook it, but you're not wanting to incorporate that fat into the sauce. After all, we don't need that extra fat. Just cook it separately and just have that off to the side, and just stir it in at the end. The cooked bacon.
I have a few questions. What would you recommend? You said earlier, you told us that the panelists that it was 96 degrees there. So what would you recommend for an elegant hot weather meal to prepare? And
A restaurant. Yeah, I recommend not cooking. I love cold soup. So like a really great gazpacho, chilled shrimp cocktails. Just something kind of cool.
Yeah, nice.
And how about if you were going to like a summer potluck dinner?
Summer potluck, you could definitely do, one of my favorite things to do is a tomato caprese salad. That's layered with, that's the mozzarella, fresh mozzarella, and tomatoes and pesto, or leaves of basil on a platter, alternating those three ingredients. Macaroni salad, yeah. But that, anything with mayonnaise in it, I'm always kind of leery about taking to an outdoor function. So if you're going to do that, probably a macaroni salad would be fine. Karen like that, what thing you do that has a wonderful vinaigrette around it.
And I know in addition to the Southern food that you cook, we've done a little research and found that you make and prepare and actually teach classes on different international recipes.
Cuisine. One of my favorite foods to cook is Thai food. One of my favorite foods to eat out is Thai food. And so I love like a chicken and a red curry sauce, and or tom gai kai, wonderful curried soup. And I love the ingredients like lemongrass and coconut milk. And it just totally takes your mouth, especially if you're used to flavors like this. It totally takes your mouth on a vacation, to where you're wondering, what in the world? It's just flavors you haven't had in a while, and you're just glad to be alive. Where some people eat just exist. I exist to eat. I love to eat. And when let me tell you a little bit about the cookbook. This is a picture of Cheryl Woods at our book event, our cookbook event that we did together. And she loves to eat too. That's one thing that we did. We went out for a meal together. And I wish I could have had her into my house for me.
Could you tell us how it was that you came to be the collaborator and on the cookbook? It's a great story.
I've written authors. I have favorite authors that I've loved through the years, and I normally write them a letter. But you get a feel for when you write somebody as to whether or not I kind of wonder, do you ever receive this letter? Do you read them? Because I've had authors before that the moment I hit the word send, bing, I got a ding. It was an automatic reply from whoever handles their website. I said, thank you so much for reading Cheryl Woods, and please follow up with, whatever the next book is. Well, that doesn't give you a real warm feeling, But with Cheryl, it was in the middle of the night because I was mourning the loss of one of my dogs. And my husband and I were parents to 3 miniature dachshunds, and one of them had just died. And so I was having a hard time sleeping, and I was up to all hours of the night reading, and I just finished that book, and it's one of the first 3 Sweet Magnolias books, and I can't remember which one it was. So anyway, here I am like a dummy. I sit down at the computer and I think, well, what the heck? So I just texted Cheryl Woods. I so much enjoy the Sweet Magnolia series. The character that I identify with most is Chef Dana Sue Sullivan, because like a Southern cook, I too am a cook. And, you know, I own a catering business, blah, blah, blah. Told her a little bit about myself. Told her I had written and self-published 2 other cookbooks. And she wrote me back. I couldn't believe it. She wrote me, number one, she read my letter. And number 2, she was interested in what I had to say. And she said, I think we might be a good match on this, because her agent and her publisher had talked to her about doing a cookbook. Well, she knows a lot about cooking. She really does. But she felt uncomfortable writing her own cookbook. And, you know, just knew that it had to be a perfect match. And it was a good match. So I sent her a couple of copies of my first and second cookbook. And pretty soon she wrote back and she said, da, 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 if we take this any further, blah, blah, blah. And I said, wait a minute. She's really considering using me to do the cookbook. And it just blew me away, because who am I? I mean, people know about me regionally, but they don't know about me on a state level, on a national level. So it was just a wild ride. It really was. I can't hear her.
You never know what will happen. It's a great story. You never know what will happen if you send off that letter.
Yeah.
What about your travels? Do you get recipes? Are you influenced? How do you create recipes from traveling?
My husband and I, when he was alive, he died a year before March, but when he was alive, we used to love to go back to New Orleans. And I'm going to tell you what, folks, if you don't like food, don't go to New Orleans. That's a wasted trip, because on every corner, I mean, even in convenience stores, the food is incredible. You know, you can get a cup of red beans and rice in the convenience store, and it's like a whole dining experience. Or you can pay big money for a fancy restaurant, and you too will have a wonderful meal. But always, every time you go to a restaurant, whether that's, you know, somewhere in your hometown, but take notes. If there's something that you like, if you take notes, you can ask the chef different questions about it. And they're not going to give you a recipe, because I'm going to tell you something, folks, they ain't got a recipe. For the most part, they're just going to, you know, it's in their head and they just do it. Now, I owned a catering company for 28 years. And if it wasn't for me taking cooking classes or teaching cooking classes, I wouldn't have my recipes written down. And Chef Karen here, who was here, she's a chef, she's a home chef. She knows what I mean. You cook by ear, and it's always evolving.
Yes.
But so when you write things down, or when you taste things, take notes. Take notes on what you're tasting, and that's going to be a lesson to me. You develop your intuitiveness that way too.
So when you host your cooking classes, how do students prepare just one dish? Do they do a whole menu? And do you do one night or like one day? How are your classes run?
When you come to my classes, you sign up for a particular class, like let's say Thai cuisine. So Thai cuisine would probably include like 4 dishes. And that would be from appetizer to dessert, and that would be over like a 2 or 3 hour span of time.
We have questions. Who from some are
Can you take them, Denise?
yeah, the who taught you to cook, and who influenced you as a chef?
everybody. I had a class from Julia Child, Emerald Lagasse. I went to Aspen in the summer of 1994, I went to Aspen. And I went to the Food and Wine Festival and was able to take cooking classes by, as I just mentioned, Julia Child, Jacques Pepin, and what's so cool, we were able to, you stand in line and get them to sign your books and stuff. Well, I didn't want to take on my cookbooks. I mean, come on. So one of my friends that I traveled with said, take an apron, have them sign the apron. So I did. I took an apron and I had them sign it. And I left the middle spot of the apron blank. I said, you sign anywhere on this apron, just don't sign the middle. And so Emerald, he has huge handwriting. And he, Emerald, right there, big bold. Who I saved that for was who? Julia Child, Dean Fearing, Marion Cunningham, all of these famous people I've had cooking classes by. And I went to Johnson in Wales, is where I got my formal education. I have a degree in art psychology from a liberal arts college, but I got my further education in cooking at Johnson in Wales.
So, Teddy, there's a lot of love coming at you from our comments about you being delightful and adorable. Your cousin Mel is so proud of you. I just want to mention that to you because some of these comments, they'll be lost once we close it down. But we have a few here and there questions. Have you ever heard of adding coffee grounds to the roux? Someone said their mother's from Georgia, and many years ago, someone told her to do that, so she always does.
Coffee grounds to a roux does. It darkens the roux, but is that a true darkness to the roux? No, it's not. And it increases the intensity of the flavor. Is that real flavor? No, it's not. My roux, I want to be dark, but I want to get it dark by taking it through this process and by getting it slowly over about 30 minutes time, developing the color and the flavor of the roux. Because you can taste it with your nose, because you can smell that flavor. You really, really can. But yes, I've heard of cooking a roux with coffee grounds.
And what is your favorite book from the Sweet Magnolia, your favorite recipe from the Sweet Magnolia's cookbook? Your favorite? My
favorite recipes?
Mm-hmm.
My favorite recipe in that whole book is my low country my low country gumbo, which has shrimp in it and it has a white fish, and then I put crab meat in it, and quite frankly, it's whatever you want to put in there. When you go to the fish market, whatever looks great, you buy it, and it's going to taste great.
That's one of your best.
Yeah.
And
my biscuit recipe that's in the book, the biscuits are to die for. And you can't get much simpler than biscuits. And the main thing is, if your hands are hot, you don't want to mess with the dough a lot. And my grandmother we'd sit down and say the grace, and you'd gather hands around the table and she'd say, your hands are always so hot. And they were. And my mother said, you don't have pastry hands, honey. And I didn't. But you can, you just touch the dough very lightly.
Would that be the same for pie crust? Because someone asked earlier about making a pie crust in the summer.
Yes. The colder your hands are, the better. The less you touch the dough, the better. With pie crust, butter or lard. Mm-hmm. And y'all please just cross yourselves and say a blessing and make it with the lard, because it's gonna make a difference.
Thank you.
So Denise, do you have more?
What?
You have to unmute.
We did a little research on you. We hear you love kitchen gadgets. What's your favorite gadget?
My favorite one, hold just 1 second. Okay, I had a stroke a year and a half ago. And when I had my stroke, I lost a lot of use of my hand. So to watch me chop an onion is kind of, it's almost painful to watch. It's like, God, you're gonna cut your arm off. Well, I'm not look like it. But one of my favorite things is this right here, which just is an onion chop. And it's got the grid on it. You put the half of the onion there and wrap. And
Fantastic, I have one.
I have one too.
And I love knives. And I've got a fabulous collection of knives. But the worst thing you can do with a knife is have a dull knife. The sharper the knife is, the better the knife is.
How do you sharpen your knives? What do you use?
I use a Chantry knife sharpener. I'm sorry, I hope I can say that. Chantry. If you just pull the blade through, Kelly, I don't know where that is.
Okay. Now, I always have to use I like to cook, but I always have to use a recipe. How do you create recipes?
First thing you do when I was writing all three cookbooks, I come up with the name of the dish first. Say, let's see, peach cobbler jam. Okay, so I knew I wanted to make a homemade jam, but I knew I wanted it to taste like peach cobbler. So I did that. First of all, you name it. And secondly, you determine how you're going to get there. Thirdly, what you're going to be doing is a lot of testing. And you come up with something, you take like I said, the spices and whatever of the peach cobbler, and you incorporate that into your particular recipe. And it's amazing. You can be spot on.
And what about food gifts? Lots of people like to prepare something. Do you recommend giving a gift? Any particular gifts?
Yes. Now, we call them bread and butter gifts here at the South. What do y'all call them?
What do you call them? What?
Bread and butter gifts. Don't be careful. And I don't know why we call it bread and
Because
butter.
a lot of times it's jellies or jams.
Yeah, a lot of times
different
it's
kinds of
jelly,
butters,
jams, and
yeah.
that kind of stuff. So what I love to do as a homemade food gifts are that. And plus, by doing the preserves ahead of time, I've always got those ready. I've always got them ready. And when we ship gifts out at Christmas time, we've got homemade jams. And Kelly, my friend who I used to live with, she was at a mulberry tree, Kelly?
Yeah.
Good Lord. Kelly got up in the top of this mulberry tree and pulled all the mulberries down, delivered them out of those horribly, but anyway, now it's the peach season in Georgia. Well, throughout, but they're best in Georgia. And now's the time of year when my favorite peach just came in, called July Prince. And it is fantastic. So you can make your homemade jams, blueberry jam, strawberry jam. There's each season that comes along, you've got a new jam you can make. You just combine those homemade food gifts. Now, if you want to give somebody just a jar of jelly, that's great. But combine it with something like this right here. Give them a beautiful piece of cheese. A wonderful piece of gorgonzola would go lovely with that homemade peach jam I'm talking about. And you never know when people are going to come by. I can't hear you.
Decorate it nicely.
Oh yeah. Your gift is only as good as what you decorate it in. So pretty little baskets, a beautiful little cellophane bag. It makes all the difference in the world. Just little bags like, just a little clear cellophane, not Ziploc. And if you give somebody something in a Ziploc, That's fine. Cut the zipper off of it, y'all. I know that keeps your food fresh, but nothing screams Ziploc like Ziploc. Just cut the zipper off, put a pretty bow on it. And like the little bag right there, I got those in a package of 20 at Walmart. And they're with the party supplies. Yeah.
You make your bows in the summertime.
Yes.
You would make your bows in the
Oh my God,
summertime.
yeah, in the summertime when it's too hot in the kitchen to cook, normally that's when I would do bows for holiday gifts. You know, I would want to have, anyway, I'd sit in front of the TV while I'm watching Sweet Magnolias, or in my case, but while I was watching a movie, and I would just make bows. And you can do that real quickly. And of course I don't have one here. But you just sit there and make bows and turn around, you count them, you've got 100 that you've already made.
Doggy treats.
Oh, dog treats, homemade dog treats. How many times I've made homemade dog treats? And one year I made, my mother's dog name was Abby. And so I made up the, and I call them normally like snicker poodles instead of snicker doodles. And that kind of gives my parents a hint that poodle, that's a dog treat, right? Or a ginger snap. And my daddy, when I sent my package, and my daddy called back and he said, "Sugar, I really like this ginger snap that you did, but you know what? Those are different than your regular ginger snaps. They're not nearly as sweet." And I'm thinking, Daddy, those are for Abby. You didn't read the package, who it went to. And my daddy was just eating those dogs, but they're fine. It's all human ingredients. He can eat that, yeah.
Barb, you have some questions?
Well, mostly what's coming in is just people saying how happy they are to be here. I think that was we've gone through most of the questions that are here. I know we were going to ask you, Teddy, for 3 numbers because we're going to do a raffle. We have so 3 numbers. The first one between number 1 and 117. And Deb will check our list here and we'll see if that person is here.
23, that's my birthday. Yeah, 23.
Deb. You'll have to unmute if you have to.
Number 23 is Margot Eagle.
Margot?
Margot, are you here?
Go here.
Margot, let's see, I can check this. No, she might have left. She was here.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh no, she's still on.
Okay,
She's
so
still on.
the next one, and let's just give the first name and the last initial.
Oh yeah.
Another number, Teddy?
Okay, another number, Kelly.
50.
Number 50. 50. 50.
I'm sorry, that patron is not here.
Okay, so let's pick another number.
Number 65.
55 is Angelica K. Are you here, Angelica K?
Yeah, she's there. She's there.
There.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm here. Oh, good. Great. Okay.
87.
87. Sorry, not here.
Okay.
14.
14.
Not here.
Not here. Number 1.
Not here.
43.
43.
Yes, we have Anita J. Are you here, Anita?
And I hear that my cousin Melanie is there. Hey, Melanie.
Margot's here. Okay.
And Melanie's from Lancaster, South Carolina.
Hmm. Okay, so Anita was here. I know that. Looks like she's not here any
117.
longer.
117.
Unfortunately, that's you, Teddy. Or fortunately.
Give my price to somebody else. Because I already have this damn cookbook.
100.
Number 100.
We have Margot, right? Deb, we have Margot?
We have Margot.
Okay.
Yeah, we have Margot.
We have Margot and AK.
And Angelica.
Okay.
So we need one more. So you said number 100.
Why don't you pick?
Liliana S. Liliana, are you here?
Hey, that'll tell people not to tune out.
I think Liliana's here.
Yep.
Okay. So that is our third.
Okay, so we'll contact you next week using the email you provided when you registered.
Right.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Wonderful.
Thanks, everyone, for coming. And remember, if you make a donation tonight, up till midnight, for $100 or more to the Friends of the Ferguson Library, you'll receive either a cookbook or the CDs for the first 3 books, audio books of the Sweet Magnolia series. Thank you all for coming.
Y'all haven't started watching the series yet? I have watched
Yes.
the series in its completion 4 times. 4 times, because I know I'm a junkie. So I just.
I love it.
Yeah, read the books, watch the series, Sweet Magnolias by Cheryl Woods. Thank you so much, Teddy.
Thank you, Chef Teddy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.
Are we done?